the referendum, sir, I don't know what is. Thank you.
Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
I call the Honourable Minister Bill English.
Speak to part one of this bill. What the member said about prices is just nonsense. Does he seriously believe that hundreds of thousands of New Zealanders are systematically paying more for their electricity than they could?
No, they can't.
So most New Zealanders are stupid. That theory relies on Labor's belief that most New Zealanders are stupidly paying 13% more for their power than they could if they just chose to pay less. It's just rubbish. But, Mr. Speaker, through this debate and these committee stages, there's one question that the Labor Party has to answer. And until they answer that question, their criticism cannot be taken seriously. It is this: if they are elected in 2014, will they borrow $7 billion from foreigners to buy the energy companies back? That's the only question that matters. Because if their arguments... You see, the question is this: can they persuade themselves about their arguments against the sale? I know they're trying to persuade the public, but can they persuade themselves? Can David Shearer, who I think is actually not too worried about these sales, persuade David Parker, who's totally opposed to them? Can they persuade themselves their arguments are so strong that in the middle of the European crisis and global uncertainty, they will say to the public, the most important thing a new Labor government is going to do is borrow $7 billion from foreign lenders to buy back the energy companies. Because until they make that commitment, their arguments are meaningless. Until they make that commitment, their arguments are meaningless. They can say whatever they like about power prices. Do they believe that enough to borrow $7 billion from foreign lenders, start paying them interest so that they can lower power prices? If they believe that selling these companies is fiscally bad, will they borrow $7 billion off foreign lenders, to whom we are one of the most indebted countries in the world already? We're already one of the most indebted countries in the world to foreign lenders who are losing money all over Europe and are worried about global instability in a way they haven't been in a generation. But the Labor Party, no, they give the impression that they might, but they haven't actually said so. And you know what I think? I think come the end of this debate, the third reading speech, the leader's third reading speech, David Shearer is going to make a call, which would be a change. He's going to make a call in his third reading speech. Labor will buy these assets back.
Will he say that?
And if he doesn't say that, then they have no credibility on this argument whatsoever.
Point of order.
Mr. Speaker, this is a wide-ranging debate, but I've never heard it allowed in this or any other parliament with similar rules, where you can get up and say the same old thing 10 times over, the same thing repeated 15 times. Surely he's required to have a debate. We're required to have a debate here, and for him to say something new after 4 minutes.
Well, order. Points of order to be heard in silence. Can I say it's a debatable issue, and it'll be the public will judge the speech. I call the honourable member,
Mr. Speaker,
Bill English.
At least one Labor member is unpersuaded by the arguments. David Clark MP, who said on TV last week that buying these assets back is, quote, not off the table. So he's not persuaded by David Shearer, and I expect that not many of the others are either, actually. So that's what we're waiting for at the end of this debate. Labor's undertaking to borrow $7 billion. You see, we would rather pay dividends to New Zealanders. Labor would rather pay interest to foreign banks. New Zealand mums and dads, Labor want to pay interest to foreign, offshore, multinational banks. That is their policy. Well, that is their policy until it changes. Until it changes, that's their policy. Of course, what they could do is agree not to buy them back, which would be the logical thing to do. And I expect the ground is starting to shift now. I expect their leader won't say that in his third reading speech, and they will hope that over the next 18 months it just kind of slips away so they don't have to commit to borrowing $7 billion off foreign multinational banks to buy back the energy companies.
Chairman.
I call the honourable member Dr. Russell.